Hey guys, how are you all? I'm pretty sure all of you must be so amazing. So today we are just going to quickly revise all enzymes involved in digestion, and which I'm pretty sure you are getting all the things that I'm uploading. And please keep on sending your feedback in comment box. And thanks a lot for your huge love and support. I'm pretty sure all of you have subscribed the channel. And let me take you ahead where we are going to discuss all the enzyme quickly. What say? So, bacha, let's start with the first enzyme that is present in saliva secreted by salivary gland. So, let's start with the buccal cavity. Let's start with our mouth, right? So, buccal cavity, we know have salivary gland, and salivary gland secretes saliva, and saliva contain enzyme also known as salivary amylase, right? And salivary amylase work at what? Salivary amylase work at what pH? Obviously 6.8 pH. It act on starch. So what is the substrate for this enzyme? Starch. So we are eating chapati, we are eating rice, having starch would be digested by salivary amylase, but it act on only 30, digest only 30% starch in the mouth. Now food would go to esophagus. Esophagus do not have any gland, means that secrete enzyme, no enzyme there in the esophagus, no digestion happen there. Second part is the stomach. And yes, stomach have gastric gland which secrete gastric juices, and yes, gastric gland have special cell which is known as chief cell, which is known as peptic cell, or which is known as zymogenic cell. And zymogenic cell basically secrete proteases, protein digesting enzyme, right? It secrete inactive proteases, yani zymogen. So wherever you see the term zymogen means inactive enzyme. So what are those inactive enzyme? One is the pepsinogen and another one is the prorenin. So, bacha, renin means double N wala. So, single N renin secreted by kidney, whereas double N secreted by the stomach. And prorenin also known as chymosin. So, don't ever confuse if you see the term chymosin in any question means prorenin, right? So, pepsinogen and prorenin both are inactive enzyme activated by HCl later, right? And what is the purpose of both enzyme? These are the protein digesting enzyme, proteases, that you have to remember. Protein digesting enzyme, right? Second enzyme secreted by the chief cell is the gastric lipase. Yes, stomach, gastric means stomach, lipase means would basically digest little amount of lipid also, selected amount of lipid also. So act on specific lipid or specific fat. So this is the fat digesting enzyme, but very little or very specific fat. It also secrete enzyme gastric amylase, but unfortunately gastric amylase remain inactivated here because amylase would activate only at the higher pH. And here obviously pH is approx 1.2 to 2.8 pH, means highly acidic. So gastric glands secrete these HCl also, which make the condition very much acidic, means very low pH is there. So gastric amylase is always inactivated, so secrete little amount of amylase which is inactivated. Obviously inactivated means never work in acidic pH, so it would never activate in stomach, right? So that you have to remember. So always inactivated in stomach. Now food would go to small intestine, and yes, small intestine have various enzymes. So what is the small intestine enzyme? Let's discuss it. So intestinal enzyme secrete intestinal juices, and is intestinal juice also known as succus entericus. Succus entericus. And it would work on pH 8.6, means basic pH. So small intestine work, all the enzyme in small intestine work at basic pH, right? So what is the component of it? What enzyme present in it? First is enterokinase. One is the enterokinase, which basically activate pancreatic enzyme, that is the trypsinogen. So it activates trypsinogen, very important, which is the pancreatic inactive enzyme. ठीक है, यही इसका फंक्शन है. Second, it secrete carbohydrates, means all the enzyme that would digest carbohydrate, means sugar, right? So it would digest carbohydrate. So bacha, what are the carbohydrates? So obviously they are having maltase, which act on maltose. They are having isomaltase, act on isomaltose. Lactase act on milk sugar lactose. Apart from that, sucrase act on sucrose, that is the cane sugar or table sugar that you eat at home, right? Or sucrase, also known as invertase. It also secrete dextrinase, act on dextrin sugar, which is made up of long chain of the glucose, right? So बहुत सारे sugar units से ये मिलकर बना होता है dextrin. So these all are carbohydrates. Apart from it, lipase also secreted by intestine. That is the intestinal lipase for fat digestion. So yes, fat digestion के लिए भी it has enzyme. That is the intestinal lipase. It also have enzyme for protein digestion, that is aminopeptidase, very important. Aminopeptidase act on dipeptide and convert them into small amino acid. Act on this peptide chain and convert them into small unit of small chains. And we are having dipeptidases also, which would convert छोटे peptide into amino acid finally. So protease are protein digesting enzyme of small intestine. We are having nucleotidases, which act on nucleotide, which is a single unit of DNA, obviously. So obviously it digest nucleotide, and they have asked odd one out also, that which one is intestinal enzyme, which one is pancreatic enzyme, and you should remember all the thing. Nucleosidases is digest nucleoside. So we know nucleotides are made up of pentose sugar, made up of nitrogenous base, made up of obviously pentose sugar, nitrogenous base, and phosphate group. And nucleotide basically release the phosphate group from it, and फिर बचता है pentose sugar and nitrogenous base, which would be separated by nucleoside, right? So finally all the 3 units of nucleotide are digested. So bacha, next is the pancreas basically, which is the next structure that secrete enzyme. And pancreas having endocrine part as well as exocrine part. So pancreas के जो हम gland पढ़ने वाले हैं, obviously pancreatic gland we are going to discuss. And obviously pancreatic glands में pancreatic juice secrete करेंगे. And pancreatic juices जो होते हैं बच्चा, that we would see. बट बिफोर दैट ये सारे एंजाइम जो हमने स्मॉल इंटेस्टाइन के पढ़े हैं इनके लिए एक निमोनिक्स बताती हूँ. सो देयर इज अ निमोनिक्स फॉर ऑल दीज एंजाइम. यू नो व्हाट इज दैट निमोनिक्स फॉर दीज एंजाइम? तो इट्स लाइक स्माइल दे ना, स्माइल दे ना प्लीज. So let me tell you what is it. S for sucrase, M for maltase, I for isomaltase, L for lactase, E for enterokinase, DE for DE for this Na for nucleotide, De for dextrinase, Na for nucleotide nucleoside, P for protease, L for lipases. So this is the way to learn this mnemonics for small intestinal enzyme. Now we would see pancreatic gland, pancreatic juices, and you know at what pH they work? They pH at 8.8 pH. तो इतने मतलब इतना बेसिक पीएच होता है इनका, है ना. तो बच्चा इफ वी सी कंपोजिशन, दे आर हैविंग pancreatic amylase which act on starch, which is also known as amylopsin. And ये किसके ऊपर एक्ट करेगा? Act on starch because 30% starch digested by salivary amylase, rest all the starch would be digested by pancreatic amylase. Second, pancreatic lipase जो सबसे ज्यादा फैट डाइजेशन करेगा, maximum fat digestion. So pancreatic lipase also known as steps in, and you can say that it is principal fat digesting enzyme, means main fat digesting enzyme in our gut. Again very important part, right? Next बच्चा third enzyme is nuclease. So nuclease for DNA, they are having DNAs, and ribonucleotide के लिए they are having RNAs. Both of these are the digestion for nucleic acid. And yes, then it secrete zymogen, means inactive protease, protein digesting enzyme. And what is that? Trypsinogen. Another one is the procarboxypeptidase. And these all enzymes would be activated in small intestine, that you have to remember. And it would secrete chymotrypsinogen. So obviously these are inactive protein digesting enzyme secreted by pancreas, get activated in small intestine, right? And all of these are protein digesting enzyme of pancreas. And the last gland of digestion is liver. But remember, liver secrete bile juice, which is the only digestive juice without any enzyme. So bile juice secrete karta hai, but this is the only digestive enzyme without digestive juice. Sorry, it is the only digestive juice without any enzyme. It doesn't have any enzyme. Only digestive juice without enzyme. So it contain bile pigment and bile salt. So bacha, bile pigment are basically useless. Bile pigments are useless. Bilirubin and biliverdin, they are waste, right? So these are bilirubin and biliverdin. What are they? They are waste and release out, excrete out in fecal matter, in urine, and that's why fecal matter, urine are yellow in color. So these are waste excreted out in urine or fecal matter, in urine and fecal matter, feces, and that's why we are having yellow urine and feces, right? And one important thing is bile salt, that is the sodium potassium taurocolate, sodium potassium glycocolate, but these are salt, not enzyme. And sodium bicarbonate. So yes, we are having bicarbonate also. So bicarbonate obviously provide alkalinity, provide basic nature to the bile juice, provide alkalinity. Right? And when we discuss about these two bile salt, these two bile salt help in emulsification of fat. And what is emulsification of fat? So, bacha, emulsification of fat is not chemical digestion, it is mechanical digestion. जहां पर large fat globule would be broken down into small fat globule, right? So that is the emulsification. So this is the bile salt around it, which break down them into large to small fat globules, right? Why? So that enzyme lipase would efficiently work on that, right? So why the large piece of fat molecule would be broken down into small fat molecule? So that lipase, pancreatic lipase, intestinal lipase would work on it very efficiently. That's why they convert into small globule. But remember one thing, bile juice do not have any enzyme. Question of need. So bacha, I hope you like the video, and please suggest other topics that you want me to do. And I hope you like this video. Share it with your friends also. Write down in the comment, and I hope, I'm pretty sure that all of you have subscribed the channel. Bye bye, have a great day, enjoy your day now. So let me just end this session. Bye bye bacha.